Section 9.1 Sample means of random samples. For these sessions, we will discuss the accuracy and precision of the sample mean as an estimate of the population mean. And also, we're going to find the standard error of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Three characteristics of the sample mean: accuracy, precision, and probability distribution. Remember the accuracy and precision? We mentioned it about on the session 7.2. Session 7.2. Here. Okay, remember that? We talk about the accurate and precise, right? That is talking about the population proportion. Okay, I want to review a little bit because the sample mean will be the same idea, has the population proportion. Okay, we have these two guys, accuracy and the precision. And then we have the example for the small population with 8 people. We do have a cat people and then dog people. And then we try to random to pick the sample, and then we're gonna calculate the sample proportion, and then we're gonna compare with the population proportion. Remember that? And then at the end, we have the conclusion that the estimator, the sample proportion is unbiased for all sample size. Okay, it's unbiased. That means the sampling distribution is gonna be estimated with the population proportion, right? But at that time, we're talking about the proportion. And actually for this session, session 9.1, we do have the same idea. Okay, we are talking about accuracy and the precision. And then here, I need you guys remember all this notation. Remember what is the notation for the population mean? That will be the mu, right? Sample mean, that will be the x bar. What's the population standard deviation? That will be the sigma. And then sample standard deviation, that will be the s. Okay, right? Remember all this notation. And the sample mean is unbiased when estimating the population mean. This is the same idea with the population proportion. On average, the sample mean is the same as the population mean. Means that after we draw the sample, we could use the sample mean to estimate the population mean. The precision of the sample mean depends on the variability in the population. The more observations we collect, the more precise the sample means becomes. It means like we want to have a large sample size. The sampling distribution can be thought of as the distribution of all possible sample means that would result from drawing repeat samples of a certain size from the populations. And reminder, the standard deviation of the sampling distribution is called the standard error. Okay, let's look at the sample size. Has the sample size increased, the standard error decreased, but the mean remains the same. So look at this example here. We do have the sample size equal to 100. And this is the sampling distribution. When we increase the sample size, when n is equal to 400, you could see the standard deviation will be decreased. Okay, when you compare the standard deviation here and here, the standard error or standard deviation will be decreased when you increase the sample size. If you make it like n equal to 900, you could see when you compare for it, the standard error or the standard deviation will be decreased. Okay, right? But all of them, the mean remains the same. It doesn't change for the mean. Okay, one more time. When you increase the sample size, the standard deviation will be decreased, but the means remain the same. It's about like 85. Okay? For all populations, the sample mean, if based on a random sample, is unbiased when estimating the population mean. So this is how we calculate the standard error for the sample mean. we will have the population standard deviation divided by square root of n here. This is called the standard error. As the sample size increases, the sample mean becomes more precise. Okay, look at this example. A student has a large digital music library. The mean length of the songs is 258 seconds with a standard deviation of 87 seconds. The student creates a playlist that consists of 30 randomly selected songs. Is the mean value of 258 seconds a parameter or a statistic? Explain. So think about it. Is the 258 that will be the sample mean or the population mean? That will be the parameter. That will be the population mean. Okay, because this is talking about all songs in the digital music library. What should the student expect the average song length to be for his playlist? We just say that the sample mean is unbiased when estimate the population mean. And we know the population mean is equal to 258 seconds. So that will be the same idea for the sample mean. It's also 258 seconds. What is the standard error for the mean song length of 30 randomly selected songs? So 30, this is talking about the sample size. And then we do have the standard deviation is 87 seconds. So plug in to the standard error formula. So 87 divided by square root of 30. You should get 15.88 seconds. Okay, D. Would a playlist of 50 songs have a standard error that's greater than or less than your answer to the part C? Explain. So when you increase the sample size from 30 to 50, what would happen for the standard error? Remember on the graph here? Remember this picture? When you increase the sample size, the standard error will be decreased and the mean remains the same. So from this example, when you increase the sample size from 30 to 50, what would happen for the standard error? That would be decreased. Okay, so the standard error would be smaller because the standard error decrease has the sample size increase. Or you could just plug in 50 here to see what you're gonna get for the standard error. Example 2. Try to do it by yourself. Okay, A, what value would we expect for the sample mean? So this is saying the annual number of miles driven per licensed driver in Wyoming is 22,306 miles. So this is talking about the population mean. Okay, so population mean will be equal to the sample mean here. What is the standard error? So plug into this formula. We have the standard deviation is 5,500. And then the sample size will be equal to 200. Plug it in. You should get 388.9. So for these sessions, I need you guys to remember that sample mean is unbiased when you estimate the population means. And when you increase the sample size, the standard error will be decreasing, but the means remain the same. That's it.